President Vidya Devi Bhandari has taken a big initiative in Nepal's fight against coronavirus as she held direct talks with her Chinese and Indian counterparts. As a goodwill gesture, Chinese President Xi Jinping has expressed full support of his government to Nepal, announcing an additional 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine to Nepal as grant assistance. Good morning, I am Bipashna Tamang and these are the headlines of the hour. President Vidya Devi Bhandari requests her Indian and Chinese counterparts to provide COVID-19 vaccines to Nepal. China announces a grant assistance of 1 million doses. Nepal continues to reel under coronavirus as 145 deaths reported yesterday. Prime Minister Oli claims the pandemic at a controllable stage. US President Joe Biden orders intelligence agencies to investigate the emergence of COVID-19 amid growing controversy about the virus origins. And Spanish club Villarreal edge Manchester United in penalty shootout on the way to first ever Europa League crown. China yesterday announced it would provide 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine to Nepal under grant assistance. Issuing a press release, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs informed that President Vidya Devi Bhandari and Chinese President Xi Jinping held a telephone conversation yesterday afternoon as the two dignitaries discussed and exchanged their views on overall bilateral relations, including COVID-19 related cooperation. During the 14-minute-long conversation with Chinese President Xi Jinping, President Bhandari thanked the government of China for its continued support to Nepal in its fight against COVID-19 by providing life-saving medicines, medical equipment and supplies. President Bhandari also thanked China for providing Nepal with 800,000 doses of anti-COVID vaccine earlier. The Chinese president expressed full support of his government to Nepal in its fight against COVID-19 and announced that China would provide additional 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine to Nepal as grant assistance. Likewise, President Bhandari also communicated with Indian President Ram Nath Kovind yesterday and requested him to help Nepal by providing COVID-19 vaccines. Although Nepal had already paid India for the procurement of 2 million doses of India-produced Covishield vaccine, only half the quantity has been received. The Serum Institute of India, which manufactures the vaccines, has said that it is unable to supply the remaining 1 million doses as India itself is grappling with COVID-19. The Indian government, in the meantime, has put a ban on vaccines produced in India to be supplied to other countries. Along with the procured vaccines, India had also provided Nepal 1 million doses of the vaccine as grant assistance. The country continues to reel under a massive second wave of coronavirus as 145 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the country yesterday, taking the national death tally to 6,845. Likewise, out of 19,030 samples tested through the PCR method, a total of 6,677 tested positive for the virus in the past 24 hours. According to the Health Ministry, there are 117,077 active cases in the country at the moment. Meanwhile, 6,716 individuals have registered full recovery, taking the recovery tally to over 411,603. Meanwhile, there are 853 individuals in various quarantine centers across the country. The supply of medical oxygen in hospitals in the country has gradually increased. The oxygen assistance from various countries and donor agencies, along with the operation of new oxygen plants, have helped in the immediate management of the life-saving gas. We have more in this report.
Many hospitals around the country were reeling under the lack of oxygen supply until last week. Various hospitals transferred their patients to other hospitals while some announced a service cut. The families of critical patients were compelled to reach the oxygen plants themselves to make arrangements of the life-saving gas. Even as the CCMC had announced of distributing oxygen cylinders to hospitals based on the hospital's capacity, the political leaders' nature of withholding oxygen cylinders added to the problem. The situation eased to some extent soon after the Health Ministry took the responsibility of oxygen supply. According to the ministry, the situation started to improve since the ministry formed 2 task teams for the supervision of oxygen and cylinders received from donors, as well as the operation of new oxygen plants. 15,000 oxygen cylinders are being used on a daily basis in the country for coronavirus patients. The supply of oxygen in hospitals has improved since the past few days. However, the challenge of proper management of the life-saving gas persists amid the delay in transporting empty oxygen cylinders to industries and frequent misplacement of cylinders. Oxygen cylinders have also been reaching isolation centers and hospitals operated by various individuals as well as organizations. The nature of withholding oxygen cylinders can cause further problems in treatment of coronavirus-infected patients. The ministry, therefore, has urged everyone to become cautious and not to reserve oxygen cylinders unnecessarily.
Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has claimed that the government has managed to take the ongoing second wave of the coronavirus pandemic to a controllable level. Issuing a video message on the occasion of Buddha Jayanti yesterday, Premier Oli stated that the government has managed to control the second wave of the pandemic, claiming that the shortage of oxygen supply and ventilators in the country has ended. Prime Minister Oli said that there is availability of hospital beds and medicines as well. Likewise, Prime Minister Oli has assured that the government would procure COVID-19 vaccines at the earliest. The Premier has urged all members of the public to unite in the country's fight against COVID-19. And we'll take a short break here. We have more news coming up. Welcome back. The Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli-led government has been working by depending on ordinances for the past 1 year. The Oli-led government that had issued an ordinance for the first time on 28th of April 2020 has already issued 12 ordinances within a 1-year period. Meanwhile, the Parliament has failed to pass even a single bill during this period. We have more in this report.
President Bidya Devi Bhandari on Sunday issued an ordinance to amend the Citizenship Act on the recommendation of the government. Some of the provisions of the ordinance that were previously proposed by the KP Sharma Oli-led government in the parliament and were also approved by the parliamentary committee are now being termed as against the Citizenship Act. Prior to issuing the ordinance on citizenship, 2 ordinances concerning oath-taking and COVID crisis were introduced on 21st of May last week. Both the ordinances were endorsed a few hours prior to the decision of dissolving the House of Representatives. The ordinance concerning oath-taking was issued at a time when a case was filed against the Premier's controversial oath-taking incident. On 5th of May, the government endorsed the ordinance on railway just a day after issuing 7 ordinances that failed to be reinstated and presented in the parliament. These ordinances were related to the Constitutional Council, acid, drugs and sexual violence. Over 3 dozen bills, including bills on the Public Service Commission, citizenship and information technology, has been left unattended in the parliament while the government dissolved the House of Representatives. The government has issued an ordinance on a sensitive issue like citizenship and amended the law. The ordinances issued by the government are not endorsed on the basis of party agreement. Therefore, it is unlikely for the parliament to approve the ordinances endorsed by the government.
In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the local residents in Lumbini what is the significance of Buddhism. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
बाहिर के भइरहेको छ आफ्नो मनभित्र के भइरहेको छ हैन र त्यसलाई आफूलाई चाहिँ आफूले चिन्नको लागि यो चाहिँ बुद्धको दर्शन अपरिहार्य छ
नियमहरू फलो गरेर पञ्चशील फलो गरेर अनि उहाँले दिनुभएको उपदेशहरू सुनेर त्यसलाई पालना गरेर
मनलाई सफा गर्ने भनेको ध्यान भावना गरौँ सासलाई हेरौँ जति दुःख आए पनि रोग बिहारी भए पनि मन मस्तिष्क शान्त भयो भने रोग पनि घटेर जान्छ।
पापबाट हटा, कुशल कर्म गरा, आफ्नो मनलाई शुद्ध गरा, शुद्ध गरेर यो भयानक संसारबाट मुक्त हो भनेर यो बुद्ध वचन मनमा याद राखेर हामी गर्छौँ भने यो काम हामीलाई सधैँ नै कल्याण हुन्छ।
भगवान बुद्धले देखाउनु भएका बाटो अनुसार नै जस्तै 4 आर्य सत्यहरू भयो हैन, आर्य अष्टाङ्गिक मार्गहरू र यस साथसाथै भगवानले देखाउनु भएको छ ध्यान पद्धतिहरू पनि छन्।
ध्यान गरे भने शुद्ध मन हुन्छ, राम्रो मान्छे हुन्छ अनि यस्तै ध्यान बस्दा बस्दा निर्वाण प्राप्त हुन्छ।
त्रिशरण पञ्चशील अनुसार चाहिँ हिँड्ने हो भने यो संसारमा असम्भव भन्ने केही पनि छैन, हरेक कुरा चाहिँ सम्भव हुन सक्छ।
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where it text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And here's the question: what's your take on the government's repeated efforts in bringing ordinances? The options: option A, devaluating the parliament; option B, political gambits; and option C, compulsion. The voting is on. Type NAWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and stay safe.